Have you ever had that eerie feeling that the world isn't entirely real? That everything around you, every sound, every color, every person is part of a grand illusion? It might sound like science fiction. The Matrix. A late-night dorm room thought experiment. But in the 21st century, some of the most respected scientists and philosophers are asking it seriously. What if the universe itself is just a simulation? Not a metaphor, not a dream, but a literal programmed reality. If that sounds absurd, remember, most breakthroughs in science once seemed absurd. The idea that Earth orbits the sun. The idea that invisible microbes cause disease. The idea that empty space is full of energy. So let's step carefully. Because if the simulation hypothesis is true, it could change everything about how we see reality, purpose, and ourselves. Chapter 1. The Simulation Argument. The idea really caught fire in 2003, when philosopher Nick Bostrom published a paper called, "Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?" He proposed a simple argument, now famous worldwide. It has 3 parts. Civilizations either go extinct before reaching advanced technology, or they reach a point where they can simulate entire universes with conscious beings inside them. If they can do this, then simulated universes would vastly outnumber real ones. And if that's true, then statistically, the odds we are in the one real universe are vanishingly small. Far more likely we're inside a simulation created by some advanced intelligence. It's not proof, but it's a probability game, and the numbers aren't comforting. Chapter 2. What makes this possible? At first, you might object, how could anyone possibly simulate an entire universe? The size alone is unimaginable. But think about it. We already simulate worlds. Video games like No Man's Sky generate entire galaxies. Virtual reality can trick our senses into believing digital worlds are real. Weather simulations predict storms by modeling millions of data points. And computing power is growing exponentially. If progress continues, a far future civilization could have enough energy and technology to run simulations far more detailed than anything we can imagine. They wouldn't need to simulate every atom, just enough to convince the conscious beings inside that their world is solid. Much like how your video game only renders what the camera sees, reality could only calculate details when observed. Which interestingly sounds a lot like what quantum physics already suggests. Chapter 3. Quantum weirdness and the simulation. Quantum mechanics is famously strange. Particles exist in multiple states until observed. Reality doesn't decide until someone looks. Why would the universe work like this? Why would existence be fuzzy until measured? Some simulation theorists suggest this is exactly how a programmed world would behave. To save resources, the system doesn't compute everything all at once. It only renders reality when needed. The observer effect in quantum physics may not be about human consciousness at all. It could be about efficient coding. Chapter 4. The Pixelated Universe. If we are inside a simulation, then space itself might be made of pixels. Not visible pixels like on your screen, but fundamental units smaller than atoms. Scientists call this idea Planck length, the smallest meaningful unit of space, about a trillionth of a meter. If reality is digital, then what we think of as smooth and continuous is actually built on a grid. Just like how a circle in a video game is really made of tiny blocks. Researchers are already testing whether high-energy particles in cosmic rays show signs of pixelation. If they do, it could hint that space-time is not infinitely divisible, but programmed. Chapter 5. The Glitches. Have you ever experienced déjà vu? Or felt like events repeated themselves? Some point to experiences like this as glitches in the Matrix. Of course, neuroscientists explain déjà vu as a memory quirk, but the metaphor remains powerful. Even at the cosmic level, there are mysteries that look suspiciously like coding errors. The fine-tuning problem: why are the laws of physics so perfectly set to allow life? Dark matter and dark energy. 95% of the universe is invisible and unexplained. The speed of light. Why is it a strict universal limit, like a program's maximum processing speed? Individually, these don't prove anything, but together they raise eyebrows. Chapter 6. Who would create a simulation? If we are simulated, who or what is running it? Possibility 1. A future version of humanity. Perhaps distant descendants simulate their ancestors to study history. Possibility 2. Alien civilizations, curious about other forms of life. Possibility 3. Something beyond our imagination. To us, they would seem like gods. But here's the twist. If simulations are common, then even our creators might themselves be simulated. Layers upon layers, worlds inside worlds. An infinite recursion of digital realities. Chapter 7. Why run it at all? What would be the purpose of simulating an entire universe? Science, to test how civilizations evolve, how galaxies form, how life arises. Entertainment. Perhaps to them, our reality is a game. Billions of NPCs acting out drama across time. Preservation. A way to back up extinct civilizations or preserve history. To us, these ideas sound outlandish. To an intelligence millions of years ahead, it might be trivial. Chapter 8. Does it even matter? Suppose tomorrow scientists proved we are in a simulation. Would your life change? On one hand, it might feel meaningless, like our choices are just pre-written lines of code. On the other, maybe it makes life more meaningful. If someone created this universe, maybe they cared enough to give us beauty, love, laughter, and curiosity. And whether or not the stage is simulated, the play is still real to the actors. Pain still hurts. Joy still matters. The value of life doesn't disappear just because its backdrop is digital. Chapter 9. Could we ever break out? If we are simulated, could we escape? Could we hack the universe? Some imagine that by finding the source code of physics, we might someday communicate with the creators. Others argue the simulation would simply prevent such breaches, just as games crash if you try to push them too far. Perhaps dreams, altered states, or deep meditation are small glimpses outside the programmed frame. Or maybe the limit of physics, the speed of light, the black hole horizon, is the boundary of the simulation. We don't know. But asking the question is itself a kind of jailbreak. Chapter 10. The counter-arguments. Not everyone is convinced. Critics say the simulation hypothesis is unfalsifiable. You can't prove or disprove it, so it isn't science. Others argue that running a universe simulation would require impossible computing resources, even for advanced beings. Some say it's just another version of ancient myths, replacing gods with programmers, but telling the same story. Reality is created by a higher intelligence. Still, the idea refuses to die. Because every year, our own technology inches closer to making it plausible. Chapter 11. The mirror effect. Maybe the true value of the simulation idea is not whether it's literally true, but what it reflects about us. It shows our growing awareness of technology, our obsession with coding and virtual worlds, our anxiety about control. It also forces us to confront an ancient mystery. Is reality objective and solid or subjective and malleable? If the universe is a simulation, it means consciousness is not just a byproduct of matter, it is the point of the program. Real or not, it's still ours. So what if the universe is just a simulation? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But even if it is, the sunrise still warms your skin. Music still moves your heart. Love still reshapes your life. The simulation hypothesis might change our cosmic perspective, but it doesn't change the lived reality that matters most. In the end, the question isn't just whether we're in a simulation. The question is, what will you do with the life you've been given, simulated or not? Because whether we are digital echoes or cosmic originals, the experience of being alive is real enough. And maybe that's all that ever mattered.